1979's The Warriors opens with titles coming at you. Not really like blazing titles of Superman, which opened just 2 months before. These ones are done in a graffiti style, and they're coming at you instead of going away from you. Between the titles, we meet the individual members of the gang, the Warriors. We see them in profile or looking straight ahead. It's a comic book method, I suppose. It's kind of jarring at first. I understand what they're getting at with the comic book staging. The premise of the movie is simple. Cyrus, who's the leader of the biggest gang in New York, calls for truce so that all the gangs can assemble to listen to him speak. Cyrus is a charismatic leader, and even the rival gangs respect him. The gangs outnumber the police department in New York. If they become one group, if they work together, they can run the entire city. He has the charisma to convince the assembled gangs to cheer their assent to what he wants to do. And right away, he's shot and killed. We see police cars with no lights on. We can hardly see the cops at all. They look like the cars are actually moving on their own as they get into position. Barry Dvorak's electronic score adds to a dystopian aesthetic. The gathering of gangs is itself a sign of their strength. The powerless of society are powerful when assembled, when they're not fighting each other. This isn't a problem of the week movie told from an adult's point of view. It's not a realistic portrait either. It's a fantasy, not rooted in space or other planet, but in our world. Today, the movie makers would be attacked for being irresponsible. The Warriors was a dangerous movie when it was released in '79. Not because it insulted or pushed a partisan political point, but because fights were starting and knives were being pulled in theaters showing it. I remember it being the subject of news stories in Boston media when it came out because one of the knives was pulled in a Boston theater. Our main characters are members of a completely not believable multicultural gang, taking the movie out of the realm of realism into fantasy, which was striking after a decade when gritty realism was everything in crime movies. Novelist Saul Urich based his plot on Anabasis by Xenophon, a detail everyone seems to know, but which you have to mention every time you talk about the Warriors because it makes us look deep for liking this action movie. I looked it up and found the title Anabasis means an expedition up from some depths or ascent. Okay, we're all classy. Let's move on. In the book, the central gang is made up of non-whites, and they're not running in fear from someone who's coming after them, just trying to get home through other gangs' territory. Making the Warriors victims of a made-up crime by a rival gang is a smart choice that adds a whole other source of suspense. The journey to safety is broken up by encounters with various gangs that nod to other Greek and classical sources, not just Anabasis. The Leslies are Siren. The baseball Furies are the Furies. We're not told much about the characters, so we judge them on how they act under pressure. Andrew Laszlo's images and lighting capture the energy of our heroes heading home through dangerous territory. What began as a story of the creation of an army of youth taking control turns into a story of those same gangs turning on one of their own. All that energy that Cyrus wanted to turn against the adults is being turned on gang members, their fellow teenagers. Do these kids want to fight the power or just fight? The Warriors are romantic figures. When they die spectacularly and painlessly. We're not shown much blood and very few adults in this violent fantasy world. I can't imagine the Warriors being made in 2023, but I'm glad Walter Hill made this back when he was on a streak from The Driver, Southern Comfort in 48 Hours. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again soon.